Hello, ladies out there. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate you all for joining in. Now, we're going to wait just a few moments to give everybody a chance to pop in. As tonight, we are talking about how to change your, shift your mindset. If you're talking about getting another career, changing careers, it is really important to work on that mindset. That's what's really important, right? So I'm going to give people a couple of moments to come on. And just for full disclosure, I actually have two screens open and I try to monitor everything that's going on in both sets. And I understand that there's like a 20-second delay. And so I really do want to try to wait and process that in my brain, right? Because generally I start talking and I start going and I start rolling on through. But I'm Twanna Carter, and I coach purpose-driven women who are unhappy with their career and where they are in life right now, so that they can overcome anxiety and transition fears and just take that leap into their next best level. And that's all about career change. It's career transition. Now, when some you can change from a job, right? Or you can just totally up in and change to another career. Sometimes you can do all those things at one time, but whatever you want to do, we're really talking about mindset today and how that really is just the steps to changing your mindset so you can do that career change without all of that fear, without all of the guilt and shame. Like, oh my gosh, I've been here 15 years and I'm leaving this place. And oh, but I owe it to them to stay. And I feel guilty because I want to leave. And some people, I've had clients that felt that way, that felt that they were letting down their coworkers. If I get another job, I've supervised these people for the last 5 years, I'm abandoning them. And they feel guilty about that. They have this great opportunity and they want to take a shot at it, but they're so filled with guilt because they feel like they're abandoning their direct reports, or they feel like, my boss, my supervisor really gave me a shot and I don't want to leave him or I don't want to leave her. And there's that guilt feeling all over again. So when we're talking about changing, pivoting and changing careers, or even changing your job, it really is about looking at that mindset, figuring out what's going on so that you can be in the right frame of mind and in the right position, right, to do that change, that job change or that career change. So just a couple of housekeeping notes. I do have comments and I do look at the comments as I go through. So you are more than welcome to leave me a comment or ask me a question, and I will answer that for you on live while we're live. Also, right? Thank you. If you're catching the replay, as always, thank you for doing that. You too can leave your comments. You can leave your comments, leave your questions, because I do circle back to check those and to answer and engage from there, right? So I am now just checking my Facebook group because I do not see the live. So let me do this. Let me refresh because it should be going. It really should be going. There it is. There, as they say, there she blows. Okay, just wanting to be sure I had that in the right place. So those of you, and I do have a free Facebook community for the ladies, right? And it is I'm looking over here at my other screen here. It's career transition and anxiety support group, right? So it's about you ladies who want to change careers, or you just want to change a job, you want that promotion, but really you have anxiety and transition fears. And that's what I'm all about, helping to coach you past that so you can go ahead and live your best life at the next position. It is possible. So the reason why I got into career transition coaching is because I totally bombed my first I totally bombed my first career. My first career transition was from the military. And my dad had been in the military for pretty darn much all of my life. I started traveling with him when I was 6 years old, about 6.5. And so I grew up in the military. I went to RTC and I got commissioned as a second lieutenant. And then I spent 6.5 years in the military. So for about ugh, 2 decades, all I knew was the military. So when I transitioned off, I was lost. Number one, it was what do I do? Because in the military, those of you who know, you get a set of orders that say you will go here, you will report to here. This is your next job. So all of a sudden, I went from here's your next job to I had to find my next job. And that was new. I hadn't done that in a number of years, not since I was in college working for, Toys R Us and Domino's and, places like that. So the military was my first real job out of college. And here I was transitioning from there with not a clue, not a clue. And because I had social anxiety, it was very difficult for me to make friends. So I didn't even reach out to my network or really, looking back, I actually had a network, but I didn't know I had a network because I felt, well, it's up to me. I have to do all the stuff on my own. That's what you do. You get out and what do you do? So part of me spent months, weeks scared to death, just frightened. It's like, well, you got to get a job. And so the whole job thing was new. The whole like recruiting thing was new. And when I say I bombed because I turned down the best job offers that I had, all of them. Nabisco and some other places, turned down all of those because of fear. I couldn't imagine myself in such a successful, responsible position that I just turned them all down, right? And I didn't seek help. I didn't have help. So I totally bombed. I mean, I'm honest. I bombed that first career transition. And I kind of bombed like the first few I did, the first two or three. And I was fortunate because I took a job that was comfortable. Not the job I needed, but I took a job that was comfortable. So I took a job that was half my salary, half of what I was getting in the military. And here's one of the big reasons why I do what I do is because it took me almost 20 years to make up that loss in salary. And that's that when you're talking about a loss of salary, that's a huge deal. You're talking about a loss of stock options and salary and those types of things. It was a huge deal, and it took me almost 2 decades to make that up. And that's lost time. That's lost time. It's lost money. It's lost happiness. And so that's why it's really important to get through career change and career transition and do it in the right way with the right coach, with the right group of people. I cannot tell you how important it is because take it from me when I look at, trying to do an estimate of how much money I lost by taking the, half the career's paying half of what I should have been making. And it was well over $700,000 on the low end. I can't even imagine what the stocks and everything else was that I was being offered. So, compensation lost during those years I was wandering around in the wilderness, close to, probably over $1 million. That's huge. That's huge. That's like $1 million that's not in my portfolio. That's $1 million that's not in my retirement account, right? It's a big deal. So I get that I didn't know I had social anxiety, and anxiety was a big piece of what I had to deal with or what I was dealing with. So that's why I came here, career transition and anxiety group, because I truly understand what it's like to be afraid. For me, walking out that door for the first time in my life without military somewhere attached to me or behind me. From a kid, it's all I knew. And as an adult, it is all I knew. So I get that it's scary changing from a job you've had 10, 15, 20 years. But I also know the freedom when I finally got it. I finally figured out career transitioning and I was getting those careers that I wanted. I was getting the promotions that I wanted. And that sense of accomplishment and that sense of freedom, you just can't beat, right? You cannot beat that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I have a few notes here to be sure that I told you guys everything that I told you I was going to tell you today, right? And again, you can make comments there and we will go from here. So if you read the lead into this, it said, did you know that 57% of women are seriously considering changing their careers? 57%, that's over half, right? Would it surprise you to know that there are a lot of women who stay stuck in the same job 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, and even 25 years? They want to change. They're part of that 57% that want to change, but they stay stuck in a job they don't even like 5, 15, 20 years. It happens. It happens. Why does it happen? Because it happens for a number of reasons. Part of it is we get stuck mentally. We're comfortable where we are, and the little, that little anxiety, those kind of negative thoughts go, ooh, you don't know what's out there. That could be scary. You don't know if you're going to like that next job. What if they don't like you? What if there's not someone there to support you? What if this, what if, and it takes you down all the what ifs in a negative direction. So we get stuck mentally. Sometimes though, you're stuck, but there are physical things to it, right? It's, I have a house, and it's maybe not in an area where I can sell. That could be one reason. I know for me, for a while, I was a single parent with 3 girls. So I was always very particular about the school system for my girls. And before I ever considered, any time I pulled up a job and I was thinking about transitioning to it, I went straight to like great schools and I started pulling up all schools, the school scores, and looking at what schools were available for my kids. And if the schools were horrible, that I didn't take that job. I didn't take it, right? So sometimes there are physical reasons. Sometimes you have a spouse. If you had a spouse that just got a job, or you transferred in and you're, his job or her job is a primary breadwinner, you don't want to just pull up stakes and leave that. So sometimes there are physical things, and sometimes it's about support system. If you, or whether you are a single parent, whether you're a dual parent family, and your support system are your neighbors or your friends or your family, it's hard to just say, yep, let me pull up stakes and just move and leave all of that. And so there are considerations to be made, and I get that. But again, 57% of women are seriously thinking about changing, but we stay stuck for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Because we're mentally stuck now. Sometimes we can work out. The physical stuff can sometimes be worked out. And I've seen people where, hubby was a breadwinner and they moved for her career because she was going to make more money. I've seen, the wife follow the spouse that was making the most money, and sometimes they switch off. So anything is possible if you jump in and work it out, right? And so what really is a huge change for my generation and Generation X and older is, I know for me, I was taught that you get a job and you work with the same company, you stay there for 30, 40, 50 years, and you dedicated your life, you served that company, you gave 110%, and that company will take care of you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a whole new world, right? And so the millennials get it. They understand, like millennials understand they may only be at a job about 4.3 years, right? If you are a little bit older, that's scary because you have this mindset that said, no, you're supposed to stay there 10, 15, 20 years. You don't just move around jobs like that. Actually, now you can, and you do, and you probably will if you stay in the workplace any longer, because COVID-19, a lot of jobs have gone away. And so you're forced into transition. I had a live last week that talked about reasons people are in a career transition. Sometimes you're forced, right? And so you got to leave that mindset of, I've got to put in 15, 30, 50 years, 40 years with one company because I owe it to them to stay. You have to shift that mindset, because the average is about 4.3 years. That's it. Right? So I know that can be downright scary, but that's why you have career transition coaches to help you through that, to help you work through it, right? Because you can't depend on that company even being here in 10 years for you to dedicate yourself 10 years to that company. Yeah, think about that for a moment. Think about a lot of the companies that were here 5 years ago that no longer are there. Okay. So what do you need to know to stop being stuck, right? First of all, you need to know you are stuck. That's you can't improve if you don't know where you are. And so that's typically the first, not typically, that is the first step in my process is self-awareness. It's that awareness. You need to know you're stuck before you can start searching for reasons to get unstuck, right? So, what do you need to do? What is step one? Step one is you need to think differently. You really do have to reprogram your brain. You have to start focusing on what the future is. And so, I understand that you were told you stay there with that company 25, 30 years, but understand some of those companies will not be here in another 1, 2, or 3 years. So, it's switching focus, understanding that you're looking out for the future. Focus on your new space that now opens up because you realize that you don't have to stay with a company 10 or 15 years. It does open up space that gives you freedom now to look, right? Definitely look at different things. I often tell my clients that, especially when they've been, and doing the same thing for 10 or 15 years, I ask them to take a look at what you like to do. Or when you were 16, what did you always say you liked to do and you intended on doing? Right? Because some of us take a job for expediency's sake. Out of college, I need a job. I have student loans. I must take this job. And we end up liking the job and staying there. But, once you understand it's okay to leave, have that freedom to put up. And what do you want to do? What do you like to do? And as we start getting to our 40s and our 50s, our ideas about our job changes. We want purpose. Now, the millennials got it out of the gate. They want a job with purpose starting out of the gate. Those of us 40 and 50 or over, we put in a career first, then we go, oh, I want to attend to my purpose now. I don't just want to have any job. I want a job that feeds my soul and feeds my purpose. You now have that space to do that now if you start focusing on the new. Commit to learning, do informational interviews, watch videos, talk to people, look at other jobs out there. It really is the freedom to do what you want is pretty much there. Sometimes you may need to be retrained. Sometimes you just may need to figure out what your transferable skills are, and you can go from there. And so I am actually I do have a class that I'm doing about how to find your transferable skills. And so if you are interested in figuring out how in the world do I identify and list my transferable skills, drop me a purple emoji in the comments and I will reach out to you and contact you because I am creating a class to do just that. Got several steps in there that you need to do. And I will teach you how to do that because that's such an important skill when you're talking about doing career transition. And, people look at me because sometimes I lose count. I think I'm on career number 6 or 7, might be 7 now. And people will often look at me and go, well, first of all, how old are you? And second of all, 7? Really? Is that possible? It is very possible if you understand what your transferable skills are, you understand what your soft skills are. Absolutely possible. I've done it. I have no problem transitioning careers at all. Love to do it now. And so when I look back at that scared, person I was when I left the military, I was like, who was she? Because yes, you can do that, but it's about committing to learning, being open to learning and embracing new things. So step number 1, think differently. You have got to reprogram your brain to open your focus and look at all that's available to you, right? Step number 2 is concentrate on that long-term intentions. I like to say intentions because I've been hanging around Dr. Nungard, right? So what are your long-term intentions? Most of you know it is vision or goals. What is your long-term intention or your vision? Concentrate on that and then make sure you're networking in that direction and make sure your resume fits that new direction and make sure as you're identifying your transferable skills that they all go in and fit in that direction. Because when you're doing a career transition, or a career change, either one, you do have to reorient your resume. Sometimes you just got to go differently. You may have to do a functional resume. Right? But typically, if you know your transferable skills, you can do a functional resume, no problem, and get that job. Yes, you can. That's how important transferable skills are, right? And so you also want to be sure that you are networking. So if your idea of networking is grabbing a bunch of business cards and saying, yep, I got some business cards, I'm done, that is not networking. That's collecting business cards. Okay. So what do we do with the business cards? Number one, flip it over to the back and write down details about the person you're talking to. All right. So I want to be sure my alarm didn't go off here. You want to write down details. You know, if you were talking and you're both from Syracuse, New York, write that down. If you both went to, I had an interview where we both had vacation in the same place, write that down, because that's stuff you bond and connect with. That's part of what networking is, not just grabbing the cards and putting them up somewhere. Write them down on the back, and then when you get home, send a little email. Just, it doesn't have to be long. Send a short email. Hey, great connecting today. Glad to see that we're both, you know, from Syracuse. Go Orange, Big Orange, whatever it is. If you root for Syracuse University, and in my case, down south is going to be Roll Tide or War Eagle, because from Alabama, it is Auburn Tigers or, you know, Crimson, Alabama Crimson, Roll Tide. But whatever it is that you click over, write that down on the back of that business card. So when you get home and it's time to do your email, you will remember what you talked about when you were out networking and all that good stuff, right? So there's more to networking than just collecting cards. I'll have to do a live on that one day, right? So, but make sure that you are networking and you are staying focused on the new shift. Because if you focus all your effort and energy on that new shift, you're able to transition, shift that mindset, and then stay in tune with your new intentions or your new goal, right? Number 3, make sure that you're speaking into existence your intentions. So, what do you mean by that? I'll never get that job. It'll never happen for me. That is not speaking into existence your intentions. You're basically hypnotizing yourself that you're not going to change. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. So make sure that once you, and it involves, goes back to transferable skills, identify those transferable skills, and then make sure your language matches your future plans and your future role, not what you're currently doing. You can't get a new job in a new area by only concentrating on what you're currently doing. Now, unless you just want a job in the same thing, well, yeah, then you keep doing the same old. But if you're doing a career transition, you really got to really adjust that mindset and think in that new direction. Think in those terms when you speak out loud, and like, not, oh, this will never happen. I can't believe this. Maybe I should just stay here and don't worry about it. So that's hypnotizing yourself that you're not going to be successful. We don't want to do that, right? I may have to do a live on dehypnotizing yourself too, because a lot of us do. We hypnotize ourselves to bad things or something, not being successful or not doing the things that we want to do. So don't do that, right? It's about positive talking to yourself, speaking into existence the things that you want, because you're actually, when you speak, you're actually communicating to your subconscious, right? It actually works. Right. And then finally, the last step is understand that the only person who's holding you back is you. It's not your old boss or soon to be old boss. It's, you know, it's not the job. It's not the city. It's not this. It's not this. It's not that. It is actually you, because I mentioned a couple of things at the beginning. Sometimes it's physical things that hold us back, not all mental, right? It's, you know, I have this house. Well, can you rent your house out? If you can't sell it, can you rent it out? You know, are you in a college town? Can you rent it out to college students, some trustable college students? Because I know as a college mom, I would much rather have rented a house out for my kids and know that owner and understand that, you know, it's not going to be any wild stuff and all this. I would much rather have my kids in that position than some of those darn apartments that I had to, you know, call in the health department on. So that might be a solution. The goal here is this, is if you think that you can't, you're right. And if you think that you can, you are exactly right. But it's you who makes the determination whether you want to be to do a career transition into the job that you're looking for, right? Follow through on the career change by shifting that mindset. Think about it. You're the only person who can say yay, and you're the only person who can say nay. Okay. And it is just look at the self-imposed limitations you have on yourself. I love to do this with clients, and it's, oh, I can't do this because this is this. And I go, well, who says you can? Well, that's just all the way I've always done it. Okay, but who says you can't change that? Because oftentimes our limitations are us. It's our thinking, not what the actual reality is. And so it is about shifting that. And that goes in that, when we talk about that mindset shift, it's shifting that. So, and of course, through all this, you got to, and I've mentioned, you actually got to be looking for jobs too. I've kind of mentioned that. You get your resume up, and ready for the new job. I've always done that. And when I've done so many career changes, I will pull up, look, find a career, the position description, and I'll be like, that's the one right there. I'm getting that job. Right. And typically I may have to go through some retraining, a couple of classes or whatever, do some networking, but that's typically the job I get because I'm putting my focus and my energy on getting that job. Now, if you hear all of this and you go, yeah, I get that, but I got a question. Hold on a second. I got a question here. It says, hi, Twanna. I am going through a huge career change right now. Yes. If you need some assistance, some help, do email me. I do complimentary consultations, strategy sessions. They're complimentary, and we sit down and go through a plan that gets you through. Because for me, the biggest piece of transition was the fear. It was just fear. The first job that I turned down with Nabisco, and even though Nabisco was like, no, you're exactly who we want, in my mind, I wasn't good enough for that job. And they're like, okay, let's this, but you are the person we need here because we need this. And you have these skill sets. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. My mind said I couldn't get that job. I wasn't good enough. And what if I need to do this? And I thought about, what about a babysitter? You can get a babysitter anywhere, but it's where my brain was going. What if this, and where do I live, and what is this? So my brain conjured up all these what ifs. I ended up turning that job down, and they started throwing some things on the table because I guess they maybe thought I was playing hard to get. No, I wasn't playing hard to get. I didn't even know how to play hard to get at all. But I just didn't have the mindset. I wasn't there. And that's what, as a career transition coach, that is what I do. That's why I have the anxiety piece and with the career transition, because it is often the fear, right? The fear of being a failure, the fear of it not working out, the fear of making a move and have everybody say, ha, you should have stayed here. That fear holds people in place. I know. I have been there, right? I have been there. So kudos to you. Hang in there, manage that anxiety. And then, I just talked about 4 steps to shift that mindset. Definitely do that, right? And so I was actually about to say that I do give free strategy sessions. If you are contemplating a career change and you have been contemplating a career change for like 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, come see me. Let's sit down and do a free strategy session so that we can give you a plan. You walk away with a definite plan of how you need to go forward, because I totally get it. Like I said, I bombed. When I left the military, I bombed. I took a job making half of what I was making, and understanding that age, and we don't like to hear this, but age calculates into that. So you're only 28 once, you're only 27 once, you're only 30 once, you're only those years, 35 once. And sometimes those are your best years to get the best salary out of the gate so you can build up from there. So I didn't get that. Nobody explained that to me. So I took half of the pay that I was making in the military, and that's where I had to start building from. So I started building way down. You don't have to do that, right? You don't have to do that. If you're leaving the military and you're lost and trying to figure out what to do, and it's scary. I know it's scary. It was very scary for me leaving out that door, taking off that uniform and leaving the comfort of the military. And that's what it was for me, because again, I grew up as a kid in it, and then I joined it. So the military was all that I knew. And so every year actually every month, thousands of members transition from the military, and some of us just feel lost. And so that's why I'm occupying this space now. And some of you have just reached that point where you want a career with purpose and meaning, and you are looking to switch and you just don't know where to start. Definitely, I'll put a link out there, but definitely set up that free strategy session with me. I'll stick a link out there. You can definitely, hit that link and we can go from there, right? So today I talked to you, we discussed 4 steps to shift your mindset that you can start that career transition, especially if you've been hanging out waiting for a minute. It is time. It is time for you to do what makes you happy. And I got to tell you, it is the best thing in the world to have a job that just makes you happy. It's why I do what I do. I love it. Some of you know that I am a coach as well as a counselor as well. And I love both. Two different, there were transitions, right? 2 different things, but I love it. And you should have a job that you love too. So thank you for watching. And I will get the next one up. I'll probably be back next Tuesday. I got to look at my client appointments before I do that, but I will definitely put it up. Look for it just like today. It'll be in my Rising Above Anxiety group, and you can join that free group. I'll have to toss the link out there for that as well. And I will see you all next week. Those of you who catch me on the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Put a hashtag replay in the comments and let me know you caught it on the replay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.